goodness sake. Now, in Cheltenham, there is a dating agency specifically aimed at gay women. It's called Pink Lobster Dating. It's run by Juliette Prais. In fact, although it's based in Cheltenham, it is a national dating site and doing really rather nicely. Hello to you, Juliette.
Hello, Anna. Lovely to be here.
Now, we tweeted earlier, and I thought this would be interesting, and it certainly has proved to be, just almost with tongue-in-cheek, we all said, is dating as a lesbian any less complicated than dating if you're straight? You're snorting already. Go on then. What's the answer to that one?
Probably quite the opposite, actually, because, well, I mean, there's so many things I could say about that. But obviously, you mentioned talking about Bryony saying back in the saddle. But for a lot of lesbians, it's never been back in the saddle. It's a new saddle. It's a new horse. So it's a totally new adventure and experience. So that's the start for a lot of women. They might be coming out. They might be coming out later in life. So it's obviously, where do I start? The fear, the anxiety, which you have coupled. I mean, obviously, if you're straight, you haven't got that anxiety of what am I doing, in the sense of it's a new experience.
Do you find then that for quite a lot of women, it's not that they have been out as a lesbian, from puberty. It is something that they are embracing later on?
It's interesting because obviously doing my company I've been working on for over a year now, I've done a lot of research, and I came out early on, and I used to think that, you either came out early or you didn't come out at all, and that was that, and you knew, and if you knew, you just get on with it. But actually I've realised it's very, very different, and women especially have got much more sexual fluidity than men, and there's a lot more research now, especially the last couple of years, to show that women do come out late in life, and it's actually very common. But a lot of women don't realise how common it is because they're too scared to come out. So that's another issue now, and obviously that's why it's so important to raise awareness, because these women are struggling perhaps in themselves and understanding who they are. So I think it's really important to raise awareness that actually they're not alone, it is normal, and it is still stigmatised, and I want to try and remove that stigma for women, because it is hard for them, and it's living a lie they're having to do, a lot of these women as well.
Yeah, because I mean, presumably if you do end up coming out later in life, you might already have a husband, a family, your whole life is structured in one way, and you're potentially pulling that rug completely out from under everybody's feet, not just yours.
Yeah, and I think it's so complex, because I think a lot of times the women coming out are seen as the bad person in the relationship, because why did they do that?
Well, they're breaking up a family,
so you can
understand that.
Yeah, and obviously, but unfortunately for a lot of women, there's lots of reasons why they went into that marriage in the first place. There's a massive number of reasons. One of them, it could be they didn't even know they were lesbian then, because like I said, the sexual fluidity can change, and it's definitely not choice. And the research also shows that it's not choice. You don't just decide one day, I'm 40 now, I'm going to be a lesbian because I feel like I want to, because I like Cynthia Nixon, or it's not going to be like, yeah, I think she's hot, so let me go and get myself a lesbian. It's not a random choice.
So explain that, just clarify that then, because on one hand you're saying it can be there's fluidity in a woman's sexuality, but you're also saying it's not choice. So just clarify that for me.
Well, I think if you fall in love with somebody, let's imagine when you fell in love with your husband, Anna.
Yeah. Are you laughing?
I don't know, maybe you've forgotten that time now. I don't know.
I have not. I still love him to death.
Of course you do. So obviously you're remembering that time when you fell in love with that person. Now, for a woman, it's much easier to fall in love with a person than it is with a gender. So once again, it's a sexuality thing. A lot of studies show that do they actually fall in love with the fact that they are a sex object, i.e. woman or a man, or do they fall in love with the woman and then they fall in love with that person and they can't stop themselves? So it's very much, it is still biologically seen. It's not a choice. So they fall in love with this woman, and perhaps it could be because they've pushed these repressed feelings to the side for 10, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years even, and they might have had little feelings towards women, but they've pushed them aside because society, they think, tells them they should not think that way. So they've either pushed it aside and they thought, okay, I've got a loving man here, maybe the sex isn't great, but whose sex is great? That's the kind of stuff they might come out with, thinking that. And their friends maybe always moan that it's not great with their husbands, and maybe they think, okay, that's normal. And then over time they can't repress those feelings any longer, and maybe a woman comes along and it heightens that sense of frustration again, and then they realise, oh my God, this is what I've been waiting for my whole life.
And presumably you're not going to go into that situation lightly, like anybody in whatever direction. You're not going to do that when you think that you could be breaking up your family and something that that you have presumably nurtured and treasured for a long, long time.
And I think the family thing is obviously a complication.
It's huge.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of women don't come out for a very long time until the children have left home. Or they might even come to an agreement sometimes with the husband. They might even say, look, I am a lesbian, I know I'm a lesbian. And sometimes husbands actually say, okay, I know you're a lesbian, go and do your thing. I will accept it.
Goodness me, that would be a very magnanimous deed, I'm thinking, from the man. Goodness me, maybe I'm naive. Okay. Just explain to me now. There are other complications as well in the lesbian scene completely about the look. Your look, and there's quite a sort of snobbery is the way I would describe it, and maybe that's not right, but that's the impression I'm left with about whether you are at one end of the spectrum, and you can tell me, hopefully, radio and time appropriate titles for these people, be careful,
of course.
to the other end of the spectrum. So just explain this different criteria and that who's in, who's out. What's that about?
I'm glad actually who's in, who's out is quite appropriate. I'm really glad you brought that up, because the unique aspect about my dating site is it's for lipstick lesbians.
Now, what does... Okay, so
I'm going to explain what that means.
Yes.
Lipstick lesbian, obviously you can't see me, but I am one. A lipstick lesbian is a feminine lesbian who will date or go out with or marry a feminine lesbian. So stereotypically you could say it's a straight looking woman, and that's why actually a lot of women coming out late in life are often femmes or lipstick lesbians, because they have been straight in inverted commas their whole lives. So they have
you're wearing your makeup, you've got the long hair, you've got the the elegant cocktail type dress, and the pearls around your neck. Well, I'm just kind of giving people an idea.
Cocktail dress.
Well, you know what I mean. So at the other end of the spectrum is almost a stereotypical idea from some people's perspective, but there are women who are, fit in this genre.
Yeah, this is a big debate, isn't it? You've got
who are kind of, butch, frankly, and it's dungarees and very short hair, and it's that kind of thing. And so never the twain shall meet. Is that the idea?
No, not at all. No. You've got. I
told you it's complicated.
It is. I'll give you a book later, Anna. Obviously, there's a massive spectrum. The reason my site exists for feminine lesbians is because people don't think they exist, and feminine lesbians themselves, looking at the media, looking at television, looking at anything, they think, okay, only butch, as you put it, lesbians exist. So they might be sitting at home thinking, I'm a feminine lesbian, I'm attracted to feminine lesbians, only butch lesbians exist, so therefore I'm not going to make that brave move. And also, there's also the backlash that you have from men, I've had a lot, which is, we want a threesome, or you're only doing this to tempt men because you look straight. So a lot of people, lesbians and straight people in general, don't believe that I am gay. So this is the other thing that's important to me, is creating visibility that all types of lesbians exist, just like all types of women exist. Yes. There might be women that sometimes look butch, but it could be straight. And it's just because of somebody, how they look, does not mean they're gay or they're straight. All types of lesbians exist, all types of straight people exist.
Well, that being said then, why is there this sort of snobbery and, you're not really a lesbian? But this is within the lesbian age.
You know what?
Sisters? Where's the sisterhood?
I know, there should be sisterhood, maybe in the right way, not the wrong way, shouldn't there? This is what I've asked so many people. There's a lot of information on my website about this as well, people blogging about it, not understanding why it happens. I've got a femme blogger focuses on this topic, and we've all done a lot of research and we don't know why. The only thing we can think is, I suppose you could say the stereotypical lesbians have had to fight for that belonging perhaps more because they're more visually obvious, so they get more visual backlash. So if you spot somebody potentially very butch, they will get that backlash potentially that I won't get because I don't look a lesbian. So I potentially will fit into environments more easily. Not always though, because in gay clubs I have been told leave. Yes.
No.
I have. You're too lipstick, you don't fit in.
Oh my goodness.
And I've had other lipstick lesbians, I'm quite confident, who actually have left crying and been really upset and written to me and said, I cannot believe, I feel devastated this happened. That's another reason I've done Pink Lobster Dating. They don't have to not worry about belonging anymore in a community.
I'm really quite disheartened by this whole thing, but just generally about, about whatever your sexual preference, whatever your thoughts on any of this, that women aren't supporting other women generally,
But do straight women support each other all the time?
Well, he's hoping. Maybe I'll hold up that banner a bit longer.
Yes.
Somebody's just tweeted. Right, I thought this was very funny. And as you know, we asked earlier. Is dating as a lesbian any less complicated than dating when you're straight? Anyone who believes that ditching men for women for an easier life is deluded. That being said, dating women equals 2 wardrobes. #winning.
Hey. Yes.
Some very funny things coming in there. So where do we go from here then? Okay, so on that basis then, you've got a lot to think about even before you go out. And I mean, how, you know, what you wear and how you present yourself is clearly even more crucial then when you're dating in this environment than if you're dating anywhere else, surely.
That's true, yeah. I think it's important to say, obviously, although it's extremely difficult, it's worth it in every single way. Everybody I've spoken to who's come out, whenever they've come out, has not regretted it. There hasn't been one person who said, oh, I really hated coming out, I actually love men. I've never met somebody like that. I'm sure they
they're not going to tell you, though, are they?
No, but I suppose what I'm saying to you, the stories that I'm hearing are very positive stories, that actually the process was worth it, because you have to remember, it's not an easy process. It's not like they're going to take that step easily. So if they're going to take that step, it probably means it is the right step for them, because it's a massive decision to make. When they've made that decision, it's hopefully going to be a lovely pathway. But like you said, it's not black and white. It's what kind of women do you fancy? Who do you fancy? At the same time, I also believe in the spark. So although you know maybe if you fancy somebody feminine or somebody butch or somebody in between, that's a starting point. You also have to have that spark. So, you know, I believe in meeting quickly. You know, you exchange a few emails on the site and then you meet. Because like anybody, you're not going to know just because you like a feminine lesbian. It doesn't mean you're going to like all feminine lesbians.
No, for goodness sake.
No, because I know, like it says on Twitter, you've just been reading, women can be a little bit of a nightmare. So you
could be mean to each other. Let's not have any of that nonsense. Well, in life generally, come on, let's be nice to one another. Let's all play nicely. Thank you very much. As ever, riveting to talk about something, you know, that some people will recognise instantly, other people it'll be a whole new journey, but interesting nonetheless. Thank you very much. Juliette Prais then from Pink Lobster